now, so
Just mention where it'll be posted.
they will be posted on the NCSIS website with all of our other webinar recordings. And just in case you don't know where that is, it is on the nc-sis.org webpage in the blue banner. Click on the word training, and then come down to recorded refreshers, and you'll just scroll down, and they will be listed alphabetically, and they are titled Scheduling Q&A Webinars. Oh, yes, let me read those. Hang on, I've got 2 questions I need to read, too. Okay, Aaron, I guess you're going to answer. First question is from Kathy. She wants to know, it's a charter school, and they are expanding and adding a new grade for next year. And so they are moving from a K-11 school to a K-12. And actually, Diane, I think will know this, won't she? K-12 school. How do I add grade 12? She wants to know, how does she add grade 12 when she's moving to a K-12 from a K-11? She has to add that in EDDI first, right?
Right.
That has to be added in EDDI, and then it will push down from EDDI into PowerSchool for you. Okay? The next question that we have is, I'm having trouble understanding and resolving issues with my course catalog. All of my courses are in red. So she has created her scenario in her catalog, and all of the courses are in red. And Aaron's going to tell you what to do to fix that.
Courses in red are indicated in red in Scheduler because they are not available on the live side to that school. So the LEA will have to go to courses and edit the availability for that course and make sure the affected school is in the available part for that course.
And you may have just not done the set schedule year function yet. And once you do the set schedule year in Power Scheduler under functions and you select your 2015-16 year, then they should not all be red any longer. You should just have some red ones. That's all the questions that I have that have come through. Does anyone have any other questions? We're here to answer your questions. Anything that you'd like us to show you? And we're here for scheduling only. We're not here. We know that there are some issues from maintenance weekend, and we can't address those. But any scheduling questions, or if there's anything that you'd like us to demonstrate as far as a scheduling task, let us know. Okay. We have no questions coming in at this time. I want to remind this group, when you get to the point where everything's taken care of with the new upgrade, make sure you download the engine one more time, the PowerSchool scheduling engine, so that you can get the updates that were added to the engine. And in order to do that, you must be signed in at the school level. If you scroll to the bottom on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see Power Scheduler. You're going to click on Power Scheduler. You're going to go all the way to the bottom under Tools, and you'll see Engine Download. You want to download that engine one more time. It'll tell you that you already have it installed, but go ahead and say yes to overwrite it because there are a few updates to that scheduling engine. Okay. Kathy has all of her courses in red in the course catalog, and she missed part of the answer about setting the schedule year. So why don't you run through a quick demonstration of that? Once you've set up your scenario, and your scenario is active, and if you'll notice here, I do not have one at this school, so I'm going to do an auto scheduler setup. I'm going to set my shortest term that I'm going to be teaching this year, the number of periods, and the number of days that I'm going to have in my schedule. And again, we recommend that you only put here the number of periods that you're scheduling in the Power Scheduler. If you are adding before school and after school periods, wait until you've completed all your scheduling information and then add those before you commit or right after you commit on the live side. Okay, I'm checking my shortest year, shortest term.
We're not seeing your screen.
Oh, that's because I didn't show my screen. There you go. Can you see it now?
Yeah, can you start over?
No. Auto scheduler setup. Here's where I was. Shortest term I'm teaching, number of periods, number of days, and I'm going to click continue. Check my semester and my full year. Put in my dates for my year. And my semesters. Remember, there are no gaps in this information, no padding whatsoever. And I'm going to scroll to the bottom of my auto scenario, and I'm going to click Submit. If you'll notice, I did not have a course catalog attached to my scenario. So I'm going to go to the left-hand side. I'm going to click on Course Catalog, and I'm going to create a new course catalog. Make sure whatever description you give it, remember you can have more than one catalog and more than one scenario, so when you put descriptions in there, make sure you understand what they are for, and if you went out and got hit by a bus tomorrow, whoever took your place would be able to know what you're talking about. Okay? So once I've created my catalog, I'm going to go back to Auto Scheduler Setup. Excuse me, I'm going to go back to Scenarios. I'm going to find my active scenario. I'm a little confused here. Make sure that it is the correct catalog, and just because you see it here does not mean it's attached. You have to scroll to the bottom, click Submit. If you will notice what happened at the top, my years and terms are not the same now, so I have to click on Years and Terms. I have to correct this information and put it back to 2015. Can't type either. And my date to 15/16. Submit. Make sure you go into your edit terms, click on those, and put in the import file term ID for every one of those. We had some issues last year that the commit did not work because that import file term ID was not there. So we want to make sure we do that. And then the last step here is to scroll to the very bottom, click Functions, scroll to the bottom of Functions. Third one up from the bottom is Set Schedule Year. You want to make sure this is set on 15/16 and click the Submit button. That should fix your catalog if everything is sent over correctly. Mine are showing in all red, and I have a feeling it's because nobody has transferred the courses, made them available to this high school. So I would have to look and see once I set that schedule year.
So go ahead and show them how to do that.
What
LEA level.
What the issue might be. Scroll up. All right.
Just for this school.
Okay, I'm going to click on, I'm going to show you how to do that from the LEA level. Click on this school. Let's see if this school actually has 15/16 data here. It does not. So from this school, that's the problem. That's why the courses are in red. So for this school, I'm going to click on School. I'm going to scroll to the bottom and click on Years and Terms. Make sure. I'm going to say New, and it's going to be the 2015-16 school year. My first day of school is 8/25. My last day of school is 6/10. Submit. Now let's see, when we go back to the start page, see where it says updating courses here? This is new to us. This is new functionality that we just found out about last week. It says updating courses. If I go back to Power Scheduler, my course catalog no longer has the red exclamation or the red triangle with the exclamation mark, and my edit catalog is available. What you may find is that you have some courses here now. Remember in the past you were able to uncheck these courses and make them not available to the school level. You may end up, this school just happens to not have any, with some courses that have the square with no check box or no check mark in the box. If that is the case, the school can do nothing with them. The LEA needs to remove that from the availability for that school at the LEA level.
Mine can check them and use them.
Well, you can check them and use them, but if you don't want them there, the LEA has to remove that data.
There. Right. Can you repeat the updating course part? That's the question.
Updating course.
Updating courses.
That was just the screen after she hit submit on the edit availability for schools. That's what it says.
It just says updating courses. That did not used to appear that way. So I just was at the school level, and I just created my years and terms, and when I submitted the years and terms, it actually updates those courses and makes them available for the 15-16 school year. All right, do we have any more questions?
Okay, so while we're waiting for some more questions to come in, if you need access to a training server to use with your schools to redeliver some scheduling training, you can let us know. Probably the best thing to do so we can keep track of how many requests we're getting in is to log a ticket with the Home-Based Support Center. Make sure you put in the subject line, training server needed for scheduling, and they will route that ticket to the training team. We do need 2 weeks notice because we do have to submit the request to Pearson. We will need to know from you. We'll need some pieces of information, your name, contact information, email address, phone number, etc. How many logins you will need, because that will tell us how many servers we need to get for you. And we need to know the time frame. So the start date and the end date, a week at a time. Okay, a week at a time. So if you only need it Tuesday and Wednesday, tell me you need it Tuesday and Wednesday. If you need it Monday through Friday, tell us you need it Monday through Friday, but we need the dates. Monday through Friday, March, whatever.
What type of logins you need to? Do you need admin logins, teacher logins?
Well,
what do you need? Yeah.
If it's for
scheduling,
scheduling,
yes.
it's going to be admin logins is what we need to know. Teacher logins aren't a big deal. It's the admin. Chris has a question. When you are using the relationships and you select course and select must load the term before, does that mean the course number you just selected or the original course?
Okay, let me walk through relationships for you, okay? Into Power Scheduler, we're going to click on a course, and I'm just going to pick Spanish 1. If this school has Spanish 1.
We're not seeing your screen, maybe.
I know you're not right now. Do you see Spanish 1?
I can't see anything. I can't see your screen.
It's been a long day, guys. What can I say?
There's an auto response question.
There we go. You're supposed to say, yes, I can see Spanish 1. See it right there? All right. So can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to pick Spanish 1. And on that Spanish 1 course, I'm going to click on the Relationships tab, and I'm going to say New. I now have Spanish 1 in the middle of my screen. What do I want to relate it to? I want to relate it to Spanish 2. So let me find Spanish 2. Spanish 2. Now I'm going to say to myself, what does Spanish 1 do to Spanish 2? Spanish 1 must load the term before Spanish 2. You have to read from the middle of the screen.
And when you look at this screen, it looks backwards.
Right. What you have to do is you have to read from the top. Spanish 1 must load the term before Spanish 2.
Yeah.
But if you did relationships last year and they worked beautifully for you, go back to Power Scheduler, go back to your scenarios, make last year's scenario active, and submit it. Go to the bottom of your screen under Reports and print Course Relationships. You can print those out and use those as a guide for your scheduling relationships. Once you're done, make sure you go back to your 15-16 scenario and make it active again. The best way I know to tell you to get the relationships in there. If they worked last year, you want to follow the same rules you followed last year, making sure that when you're doing this, you kind of do it all in the same order. Don't say Spanish 1 must load the term before Spanish 2, Spanish 3 must load the term after Spanish 2. Keep it consistent across the board.
And please, I just want to let you know that it looks like we're using real data here, and it's not. This is what we'll be using for Symposium, the server, and so the data has been changed and masked. So it is not real live student information. Just wanted to point that out in case anyone had a question about it.
Okay. Are there any more questions? This is your time to ask those questions. We're here for you about scheduling information. We need Jeopardy music. I'm going to get Penny to sing for us here in a little bit.
Little very narrow. We'll do the cricket again.
Any more questions?
Please ask your questions.
I know that it's a kind of a tough day for everyone. We don't have many people on today. We didn't this morning, so we may do the same thing we did this morning. If we don't get a lot of questions, we may cut this webinar to an hour so that you guys can get back to what you're doing for the upgrade or for your scheduling information. I think it's good that we don't have a lot of questions. Maybe you're right on top of things, that it's coming back to you a whole lot quicker than it did last year. I know we were all a little like deer in the headlights last year, and I hope it makes a whole lot more sense this year than it did last year.
Okay, Sherry said, can you please demonstrate from the LEA level how to make the courses available to the school? Sorry if this is a repeat.
With the new information that came out last week, you at the school level will create your years and terms. Once you're at the LEA level, we'll create your years and terms. Once you've created your years and terms for 15-16 and the school creates their years and terms, the courses are there and available for them. Now, if you need to edit your information, you can click on years and terms and update that, or you can click on courses. We are suggesting that you filter by the school itself and pick just the courses for that school. And you can do the same process you've done before. You can edit that information just like you always have, or you can click Edit Availability, and that's where you can send the courses that you've taken out to the next school or to that school. So not much has changed other than the fact that as soon as you create years and terms and the school creates years and terms, they can see the courses for 15-16. I'm not sure this LEA has a 15-16. It does not, so let me create one. I would come here, I would click on years and terms, make sure there's not one there, click new, and it's going to be 2015, 16, 15, 16. This first day of school at the LEA level is going to be the first day your earliest school students set their seat in a seat. I'm just going to use 825. The end date for last school day is going to be the last day your latest school students have their seat in a seat. Once you create that stripe, the courses are available. See where it says updating courses? It goes through that process and updates those courses and makes them available for the 15-16 school year. I've not waited a long time to see how long it takes for, or what the statement says after it changes, because this is just as new to us as it is to you, this little piece right here. Okay.
How do you get alternates to work correctly in course requests?
I'm assuming this message never changes because if you'll notice my green line is all the way to the end. And so I assume that means they're all updated. Okay. So we've got a question about how to get alternates to work correctly on requests. Okay. I'm going to go back to a school. I don't even remember what school I was in. Oh, okay. And as the wheels turn, I'm going to go into Power Scheduler. I'm going to check and see if I have any students. Oh, look, I have some students. Okay. I'm going to click on one of them, and I'm going to click on Requests. In this case, I'm going to say New, and I'm just going to put some requests in for this student. It's not going to make a whole lot of sense. I'm just going to grab some and put them in. Okay. Once those requests are in, if you do it this way, an elective course, which all of these are English, but we're going to pretend like English 1 Honors is an elective, must have an E code. Okay? Anything that is an elective course must have an E code. Anything that is an alternate must have the checkbox and an E code. This way, this allows the system to only replace courses with the same E code when you're talking electives and alternates. If it does not have the E code or nothing is coded here, what happens is it will replace, any course will replace anything. So an alternate could replace English if you don't have the E marked and your electives marked as E. When you're using the screens, you can tell it whether it's a required course, an elective course, or an alternate course, and it will automatically update this information for you. I like building the screen. I could sit there and build them all day. Huh? Any other questions? Wendy is recording this. Erin's going to try to get together a bank of the questions that we've had and get that posted on the NCSIS website. We'll try to keep that updated as we can. We have some Camtasias that we thought would be ready by now, but we had to send them to somebody else to get prettied up, and we've not heard back from the prettier-upper, so we'll check on that this week also and see if we can find out what's going on with those. Long pause here.
Can you walk through the engine download?
Sure. At the school level, in Power Scheduler, left-hand side all the way to the bottom, under Tools is Engine Download. You're going to click on that. You're going to click on the zip file. So you have to have some kind of unzipper in order to make this work. WinZip is what's on this computer. You can save the file in Finder, or you can just say Open with WinZip, and it will actually put it in your downloads. Let's give it a couple seconds. Finish downloading. Hey. Got a few more seconds. Once it's completed the download, you can either open it or it'll automatically open here. Scheduling engine, you're just going to click on it to install. It's an exec file, so it'll open up and it's going to say, yes, you're going to say, yes, I want to do this. Yes, I want to allow it on this computer. I just happen to have to say I need to allow it. But since I already have it installed, yes, I know it's installed, but you all are going to want to do this because there were some updates made to the engine in this new upgrade of Power School. So you want to say, okay, tell it where to install it, or it will pick a place to install it. It's going to start, and you're going to get the extract green line to go across. It's going to say completed. You're going to click next, finish, and your engine is there. You won't see anything else. That's it. Very simple process. Another slow afternoon. Okay, is there anything that you'd like us to demonstrate? Maybe that you were just a little bit confused by in the workshops and you'd like to see it again? Or if you didn't get to attend the workshop, something you'd like to see? Keep in mind that as you're doing this process, you need to allow yourself and your schools probably about the middle of June to set your commit date, because you can only commit once in Power School. So if there's an issue with the commit or if something happens and you need to have it removed, you'll need to be able to give the service desk enough time to be able to get that done for you. So you want to make sure you have that information ready for all your schools so that they'll know when their final deadline is. Once you've committed to the live side, then it's just hand scheduling or mass scheduling. There's no load process of students again, like in our old system.
Oh, this reminds me of what I was going to say in the last webinar. This question that just came in. So Kathy's wanting to know, is it possible to open the student parent portal for grade 9 and 10 only for registration? And yes, you do open the registration screen by grade level. I did want to point out that in the Prepare to Build workbook, and I think it's page 43, let me double check. Yes. Page 43, there's a screenshot that shows that you can open the registration screen either for the admin portal only or for the student and parent portals. We do not have that. That screenshot is from a later version of PowerSchool than what we just upgraded to. So we cannot do that. Don't call the service desk and tell them that something's wrong. That will come later in another version. We only have one checkbox, and you either publish that page or not, and it opens it for the admin portal as well as the student and parent portal all at the same time.
And you're seeing that on my screen right now. It's a checkbox that says this grade may register for classes.
And that's that. I had meant to say that last time, and it left me as soon as I opened my mouth to say something. It just went away.
Keep in mind, anytime that box is checked, parents and students can continue to make changes to their schedule or to their request. Okay? If you've got 8th graders that you want to use your 9th grade registration pages, the middle school needs to set up a simple scenario at the middle school level in order for the 8th graders to be able to see your 9th grade pages. That scenario does not have to be complicated. It can be one day and one period, but just so there's a scenario there for 15, 16 that the 8th graders can see the high school pages. What's the question?
I already did that.
Keep in mind when creating your course groups that you probably will see last year's course groups there if you used this last year. But keep in mind those course groups have last year's course catalog ID attached to them. They have last year's term ID attached to them. We suggest that you just go ahead and make new ones this year with all the course changes and everything because it's DDA access to get all of that changed. You can rename those old groups to say 13, 14, or 14, 15, whichever they are, so that you'll know not to use those when you set up your screens. Any more questions? Keep them coming. It gets awfully quiet in this room whenever you're not asking questions. They're all looking at me like, shut up, Sue Ann.
No, we're not. Well,
yeah.
Penny, maybe.
Anything you want us to demonstrate within Power Scheduler?
Any scheduling questions?
Hopefully the further we get into this process, the more questions you'll have. We will get hopefully some information out first of next week about the build workshops. They will be smaller. They will be 2 days. And they will be for one school per LEA. At most. That information will go directly to your coordinator, and they will disseminate that information how they feel appropriate. There will not be any online registration for that. They will let us know who they want to come, and we'll go ahead and get that all set up. But coordinators should be checking their email, hopefully next week, to get some information from Wendy and Aaron and I. As you set up your scenario and attach your course catalog, you want to be sure that you have, let me show you if you have a red triangle. You want to make sure that you take care of that information. I'm going to click this self-contained course here. A little slow here. So I can get my click submit. You'll notice now my course catalog has a red triangle with an exclamation mark, and I have a course that's in red. You need to take care of that before you commit. Any course that is in red will not commit back to the live side. So there's an issue with that course. Maybe it's a date. Maybe the state has ended that course. So if they have, and you have sections attached to that, they will not commit back to the live side.
Kathy says, wow, you answered that course question before I asked it. You're good.
I got ESP.
She got ESPN.
No. Let me go back to my active courses. You may also see now, and I don't see here any here at this school, but if you go to the school level and you click on your course catalog or edit course catalog, you may see some courses. Let me see if this school happens to have any. Oh, they're all going to turn up in red, aren't they? Yeah. Well, you may see some courses that have a box with no check in them. It used to be all the courses came over with checks, and you could uncheck them to make them not available. With the new information that we got last week, what you may see is a course within your course catalog that looks like this. That's an active course at the LEA level. You can check it and use it if everything is the way it should be and it's not ended or it truly is an active course. But if you do not want to see those courses or you are not teaching them, the LEA level has to go to their edit information for that course and take your school off of that edit information so that you won't see it.
Yeah, only if you don't want to see it.
Yeah, only if you don't want to see it. If it doesn't bother you, usually what happens if you click on active, it goes all the way to the bottom. This school just doesn't happen to have any. But, you know, if it's there and you don't want to see it, or if LEAs are afraid schools will make mistakes, they need to go in at the LEA level and edit that course information and take that course off from that school.
And how do you do that, Sue Ann? Well, I know somebody's going to ask.
So we're going to go to the LEA level. Maybe we are. Going to go to our courses. What school was I in?
So,
Let's just pick this.
We need to change it to 15, 16.
I do need to change it to the 15-16 school year. We've picked this school. I need to change this to the 15-16 school year. I'm still in function mode here. This one doesn't have any courses.
Yeah, go to your that one might. It was South Iowa. Ohio was the last one I think that you were in. But
this is a new database that just got opened up for us, so it's like I don't see any for that one either.
I know. Go to the one above it.
There we go. Okay, there's your courses, okay? Don't forget to do all these attributes here, all right? Okay, so we've looked at that course. And click on your availability tab. Here's your 15-16 school year. You're going to click Edit, and you are going to highlight the school you want to take it away from, use your back arrow, make it unavailable, and click Submit. Then you should no longer see that school in the 15-16 list. Okay? Let me put it back. And there it is. The school abbreviation is in that 15-16 list. That's how you do it. Next.
There are no more questions. I keep trying to think of things for you. Penny's crickets.
We have crickets in the room.
I feel like I'm not a slippery spot. Chair's just trying to keep from sliding out.
Okay. Waiting on the next question. We got about 15 minutes. If we don't get many more questions, we're going to call this at 2. And when is our next one, Wendy?
Wednesday at 1.
Okay.
Day after tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
I know there's a lot going on today. We just finished those prepared to schedule workshops, so you know, a lot of schools may not quite be ready, but I'm not sure where that came from, but okay.
Okay, please ask your questions. Take this opportunity to ask your scheduling questions.
If you are school level and you do not see Power Scheduler, you need to contact your LEA coordinator. They have to give you the rights to Power Scheduler.
That's what I told them in my classes. They can hook you up.
You at the LEA level may want to remind your schools that once they create their 15-16 school year, they can see those courses. But you may want to ask them, you know, if you've not taken care of your catalog, if you've not updated it, you may want to recommend that they wait until you finish that process before they start using it and registering kids in courses that are no longer active. Before you come back to the build workshops, you'll want to make sure you have everything completed. You've done your build validation, and you should have no errors by the time you come back. If you've gotten an error that you cannot figure out, go ahead and send a ticket to the service desk, and they'll get it to us. And Or it may be one that the certified people on the service desk can answer for you. So, make sure you do that and have everything cleaned up before you send that one school back to the build workshop. There will be build workshops, and then there'll be a one-day load workshop.
And just so you know, the 2-day build workshops and the 1-day load workshops are not for the same schools.
Right.
Okay? So the 2-day build workshops are for the schools that are doing a build and load process. The 1-day load workshops are for schools that are doing a load process only.
And these are truly workshops. There is no instruction that takes place during this time. We will be working with individual schools trying to get their issues resolved so that they can complete their master schedule when they get back to school.
Yes, this is not like last year. They will not come out of a 2-day workshop or a 1-day workshop with a completed schedule. That is not the expectation. The expectation is that you have someone, you have a school in your district that is having an issue. No one in your district knows how to help them to get them over that hump. They are the ones that you would want to send to the workshop so that we can try to help them so that they can go back to their school and continue their build or load process.
And it can be them and their scheduling team.
Yes, the whole scheduling team from the school can come, and the coordinator can come with them. But it needs to be one school, just one school. And we would ask that if you don't have a problem, if none of your schools are having issues and they don't need to come, that's great. Please leave those seats available for others that are needing some extra help. Because remember, we have not just the LEAs, but we have the charter schools as well.
Also, the same thing goes for load as it does for build. Make sure if you are a load-only school that you validate that load before you come to the workshop.
If you have questions, if you are working on the validation or the load or the build and you're getting errors and you don't know what the errors mean or where to go, in PowerSource you can go and search, and the documents are there. And coordinators, we did send you in the reminder email the link for the errors and definitions for the build and the link for the errors and definitions for the load.
There's also distance learning that you can click on and walk through those processes with distance learning. Keep in mind, distance learning is PowerSchool core product. Departments are pushed out from the enterprise controller for the state of North Carolina, so you should not be adding any new departments unless instructed by DPI to do so. And your departments, when you add them to rooms and teachers and courses, if you need to do that, shouldn't need to right now, but if you need to look exactly like what is in your department list. Same spaces, same periods, everything. Capital, lowercase, exactly like that list.
Misspelled?
Misspell it.
Then misspell it.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? We're going to go about 9 more minutes if we don't have any more questions. And we're going to call it for this afternoon. I know it's a busy time. Hopefully Wednesday afternoon we'll get more people on asking more questions.
And if we don't get more people registered for, trying to find the link,
Friday.
for Friday, we may end up combining the morning and afternoon sessions into just an afternoon session. Let me look. Right now we have 2 people registered for Friday morning and 3 people registered for Friday afternoon. So we will not be having webinars for 2 people or 3 people. So we will, if we don't get more people, then we will try to combine them into one, but still, we still need more than a total of 5 because we have that many of us in a room. So that's a lot of resources
that we've pulled here for you guys. So get those questions ready.
Remember, this week we are having these webinars. You're not going to have an opportunity to call in with questions and answers again until the first week of March. First week of March is when the weekly webinars will start back up for scheduling Q&A. It'll be every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Okay, we have about 7 more minutes. We've not had any questions for about the last 10, 15 minutes. So if we don't get any, we are going to end the webinar at 2 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock. Okay, just a reminder in case anyone doesn't know, and I can't remember if Sue had mentioned this, if you have a course like Math 1 or Spanish 1 or whatever, and you have some sections of it that are year-long and some sections of it that are semesters, you need to have 2 separate course codes. 2 separate course codes. Anytime, whether they're building or not. They always have to be that way.
We do realize that Core Power School will let you split a year-long course, but the state of North Carolina does not do that.
If you have a course and you have some sections that are year-long and some sections that are taught as a semester. So some kids take that course as a semester course and finish it, and other kids take that same course as a year-long course and then finish it at the end of the year. You cannot use the same course code for both of those.
What about if you have a year-long course and they're in one period this semester?
Yeah, that's what Sue Ann was just talking about too.
Yeah.
So if you have kids that are taking the same course and some are doing it in a semester and some are doing it in a year, you have to have 2 separate course codes. Also, if you are teaching year-long courses, we do not split our year-long courses. They need to be the same period all year long. And that's whether or not you're using Power Scheduler. Even if on the live side for the current year or for next year you are hand-building sections or courses, that is the way you have to do it. That is North Carolina rules. We have to have 2 separate course codes if you have some kids taking it as a semester and some kids taking it as a year-long. If you have some kids taking the same course as a 9-week or 12-week, that would be a 3rd course code. Okay, we've got about 4 more minutes. Any questions?
Coordinators, please watch your email closer to the end of the week about the build workshops, or the first of next week. Those will be April and May. We do know that. We just don't know the finishing details for them yet. Because you don't have the sound on this computer, and you just turn on my computer. Oh, it's the sound on my computer. Oh, God. But mine is not the one that made the noise. Was it mine? Yeah. Okay, we've got about 2 more minutes. If you've got any questions, go ahead and ask them now before we go ahead and close down at 2 today, since there's no questions going on. 2 more minutes. Because we've got some resources up here that need to get back to the service desk if we're not having questions come in. Got about another minute. No questions?
Well, I'll take this time to update you guys on the transcript report card issue. A fix has been found, and it is supposed to be implemented this evening, so it should be fixed tomorrow. Should be.
That is the anticipation. That is the anticipated date.
It is working. Yeah,
it
did pass QA, so they're going to implement it tonight, and the report cards and transcripts should be working tomorrow. And we're not closing any of those tickets that we have open, so they will be tested tomorrow based on the tickets that we have, so you don't need to
If you'll
put
say
in.
that again louder, please.
For the transcript and report card issue, it has passed QA. The fix has passed QA. They're going to implement the fix tonight. If you already have a ticket in with us, you do not need to enter a new one if it's not working tomorrow. We are going to test it tomorrow morning based on the tickets that we already have in. So we'll know whether it's working or not tomorrow morning.
This still doesn't mean to go ahead and do any of the other stuff that was in that email that you got. Everything else is the same. Don't enroll, don't withdraw, don't.
Yeah. Don't run any state reports until you get an email from CPI saying you can.
How do you make a certain course catalog active?
Okay, we have a question of how to make a course catalog active. In order for a catalog to be active, it must be connected to a scenario, to an active scenario. So you're going to click on your scenarios. You're going to find your 15, 16 catalog scenario. About the middle of the page, it says Course Catalog. When you come here, you may see the catalog already connected right here. That doesn't make it active. You've got to scroll to the bottom and click the Submit button. Once you click that Submit button, then that course catalog should show like this as active, and then you should be able to edit your course catalog here. In order for it to be active, it's got to be connected to an active scenario. Any other questions? You're welcome, Sherry. Sherry says thanks.
Okay, so if we have no more questions, we're going to go ahead and end the webinar early. We'll be back Wednesday, day after tomorrow, at 1 o'clock. So please go and register and get your schools to register if they have questions and let them ask their questions.
Okay? If there's no other information, Wendy's going to stop the recording and we'll get this one posted. There's not much there to post, and Erin's going to work on getting the questions all combined so that we can keep a running document of QA scheduling questions out on the website, the NCSIS website for you. Okay?
Thank you.